Hello, everyone. Today we're kicking off a brand new unit. We're going all the way back to the very first people in the Americas. We're going to trace the story forward to 1607 when the English settlers arrived at Jamestown. Along the way, we'll talk about migration, exploration, and something called the Columbian Exchange. By the end of this video, you'll be able to do four things. Identify how the first people migrated to the America, explain the three G's of European exploration, that's God, gold, and glory, analyze the impact of the Columbian Exchange on the world, and identify the first permanent English settlement. Keep those four things in your head, or better yet, take some notes on them, because that's what your exit ticket is going to be about. Let's start at the very beginning. How did people even get to the Americas in the first place? For that, we look to archaeology, the study of ancient people through the things that they left behind, like tools, weapons, and baskets. Archaeologists believe the first Americans were nomads, people who moved from place to place to find food. And here's the key event. Somewhere between 15,000 and 40,000 years ago, during the Ice Age, sea levels dropped low enough to expose a land bridge connecting Asia and North America across the Bering Strait. Groups of nomadic hunters crossed that bridge, following herds of animals, and became the first Americans. So remember this cause and effect. Low sea levels during the Ice Age exposed a land bridge, and that land bridge is how the first Americans got here. Now, here's the turning point in the story. Maize, an early form of corn. Once groups learned how to grow maize, everything changed. They no longer had to move from place to place to find food. Farming let people settle in one place and build a culture, a shared way of life. So notice the shift. Nomads moved constantly in search of food. Farmers settle in one place and build a shared culture. That single change, learning to farm, is what allowed the next big step to happen, the rise of civilizations. Successful farming led to something bigger, a civilization, meaning a highly developed society. And as farming societies grew more advanced, we also start to see some new patterns show up again and again. In dry areas, people had to irrigate. That means bringing water to crops through artificial means, like canals. In mountainous areas, they built terraces, broad, flat platforms cut into steep slopes so that they could farm on mountainsides. So societies became religious and became ruled by religious leaders. That's called theocracy. And many native groups organized themselves into clans, extended family groups often tied to spirit animals or animal spirits. Irrigation, terraces, theocracy, clans. Four different ways that farming societies organized themselves as they grew into full civilizations. So now we move forward to the 1400s in Europe. European monarchs, kings and queens, wanted wealth and power, and that desire is what launched the age of exploration. Historians remember their motivation with a simple phrase, the three G's. God, explorers wanted to spread their religious beliefs to new lands. Gold, they wanted to find a direct water route to Asia so they could trade for spices and silk. And glory, they wanted to claim new territory for their kings and queens. God, gold, and glory. Write that down because it's going to come up again and again and again throughout history. Columbus and the Conquistadors. The most famous name this era has is Christopher Columbus. In 1492, Christopher Columbus accidentally encountered the Americas while he was actually looking for a route to the Indies. He never even realized what he actually found. Soon after, Spanish conquistadors, which are explorers and conquerors, followed Christopher Columbus across the Atlantic. Within a few decades, they had built a massive empire across Central and South Africa, driven by those same three G's: God, gold, and glory. Not every European power approached the Americas the same way. Let's compare two of them: the French and the English. The French settled in the north and focused on the fur trade, often working peacefully with the Native Americans. It was more about business and partnership than conquest. On the other hand, the English wanted their own foothold, and in 1607 they established Jamestown on a swampy island in Virginia. Now, here's something worth thinking critically about. Jamestown's location was a double-edged sword. The water around it protected settlers from enemy attacks, but that same swampy land was filled with disease-carrying mosquitoes that threatened their survival. The very thing that kept them safe also put them in danger. Last big idea, the Columbian Exchange. This was a global transfer of plants, animals, and diseases between Old World and the New World. So going to the Americas, there was horses, cattle, and diseases like smallpox. All of these things not only helped the Native Americans, but it also devastated the Native American populations who had no immunity to them. Going to Europe, corn, potatoes, turkeys. That reshaped the way Europeans ate. But there's a dark part to this exchange we have to be honest about: the Middle Passage, the forced and traumatic transatlantic journey of enslaved Africans to the Americas, the slave trade. The Columbian Exchange wasn't just goods and crops moving around the globe, it reshaped the world, and it came at a devastating human cost. Okay, let's put it all together. There are four key things you need to take away from today. One, first Americans migrated via the Bering Land Bridge and eventually became farmers who built full civilizations. The second, Europeans, European explorers were driven by the three G's: gold, God, and glory. Three, the French traded fur peacefully in the north. If you think about it, north is cold, and that's where your animals are going to have to be, have more hide, more fur. That's why the French settled up there for the fur. While the English settled in Jamestown in 1607, despite its harsh geography. Remember, Jamestown, Virginia, the first colony. 4, the Columbian Exchange transferred both worlds, and it included the Middle Passage, which included the slave trade. Okay, we've finished the video.